I'm living very much in the moment, so everything I do now is very much the same what I did before, kind of. You develop some of the issues and then you come back to some because they stay with you, because maybe they are the base of what you're doing, because they are questions that can never be resolved. At the beginning, I was very much interested in the relation between the construction of sexual identity and architecture. And then I went through my interest into fetishes and art, and then it went into questions of violence also. Some works of mine that were really dealing with the idea of fetishes, I see them now differently because the idea of fetishes changed in the last 20 years. So now sex and that kind of aesthetic of fetishism has become such a commodity. I'm working a lot with language since a long time. Language is an act of resistance, and words have a weight. I do like to think about doing works that give materiality and this weight to language, freezing certain sentences for a while so that they really stay with you. I did a lot of mirror works using sentences coming from female writers or poets that were expressing a kind of discomfort in being inside. I think material is very important. I'm very, very curious about material in general. I do like to experiment a lot, trying to mold the material into something that is normally not used to. At the beginning, I started working a lot with construction materials because I didn't really have any education in sculpture, which is a little funny because I'm teaching sculpture now since more than 20 years. I was interested in what architecture is and how it forms identities for everybody, how dictate our behaviors, our mood also. And then when I was into my fetishes phase, I started using leather belts. I'm waving all these belts, and I like the idea of creating a sort of textile out of this material that, of course, is not intended to be woven with. The material that is related to military forces or to violence, maybe. In the last 10 years, I'm creating a lot of sculptures using glass. Glass is something that really surprises me also during the process of doing it. It's such a soft, liquid material that you never really know what is coming out at the end. And it's very fragile, but it's also very strong at the same time. And it's also something I like a lot. Maybe almost of all materials I use. In 2007, I went to New Orleans to prepare work for the biennial. That's the way that the series Hurricane and Other Catastrophes started. It was just a few years after the Katrina disaster that happened there. So when I started painting the broken, collapsing, empty houses, they stood for me as an image for natural and political disaster and how they are very often interwoven. I'm drawn to these forms because they reflect something deeper, a kind of emotional and societal collapse. Never Tire is a series that I started later in 2020. I use tempera and industrial spray paint. The series deals with the concept of anger in a feminist way, anger as a creative force. Both Hurricane and Other Catastrophes and Never Tire are works about dissent, about the system we live in and how we can confront it. I hope my work makes people think about ideas, but also through the material that I'm using. Lots of my sculptures and installations are really asking for almost a direct response or participation from the public. It's a language that I hope make people think a little bit different, a little bit deeper, a little bit off the way they normally do about things, yeah.